No lights turning on in the windows. No curtains moving in the breeze. No doors opening at the end of the day. These apartments have not been lived in for years, and yet standing here in the middle of what was once a street full of ordinary life, they do not feel vacant. They feel held, suspended in something that is not quite the past and not quite the present, but somewhere in between the two that has no easy name. The silence here is not the silence of a place that was emptied. It is the silence of a place that was left behind. And there is a difference, one you feel before you can fully explain it. An emptied place feels finished. This does not feel finished. It feels interrupted, paused mid-sentence, waiting for something that the rest of the world has already stopped expecting. Cities are not only streets and buildings. They are collections of homes, places designed around the simplest and most repeated act in human life, the return. Every morning people leave, and every evening they come back. That rhythm, arrival and return, is the heartbeat of any city. Remove the streets and the shops and the infrastructure, and what remains is still that rhythm. People going out into the world, people finding their way back home. But here, that rhythm stopped. The city still looks like a city. The buildings are still standing. The streets still run in their familiar directions. Everything is architecturally present. The only thing missing is the part that made it real. The people who were supposed to come back and never did. And that absence, which should be simple, turns out to be anything but. It turns out to be the loudest and most disorienting thing about this entire place. Section 1. Homes built for return. Apartments are designed around routine in ways that other buildings are not. The front door is placed where you reach for your keys without thinking. The light switches are positioned where your hand finds them in the dark. The windows face directions that were chosen to let in morning light or evening sun at the hours when someone would be home to receive it. None of this is accidental. Every element of a home is carefully calibrated for the life that will be lived inside it. Even now, standing in front of these buildings, that calibration is still visible. The balconies face each other the way balconies face each other, in places where neighbors once acknowledged each other in passing. The windows are positioned like eyes that once framed private lives. The whole arrangement of the street still suggests the presence of the people it was built to contain. Your mind expects signs of life, and the expectation is so deeply programmed that the absence does not immediately register as absence. It registers for just a moment as something about to arrive. Section 2. When private space is abandoned. An empty street can feel neutral. An empty square, an empty office, an empty corridor. These spaces can lose their purpose without becoming painful. They become blank, and blankness is something the eye adjusts to quickly. An empty home cannot do that. A home is not built to be neutral. It is built to be occupied, to be returned to hold the specific warmth of whoever lives inside it. When no one returns, the home does not reset into blankness. It preserves the shape of its absence. The rooms still have the proportions of rooms where people lived. The walls still carry the faint evidence of where furniture once stood. The space still holds the outline of a life without holding the life itself. And the city feels quieter here, not because it is larger than other abandoned places, but because it is more intimate. The scale of a city and the intimacy of a home exist together here, and that combination creates a particular kind of stillness that neither would produce alone. Section 3. The human trace. Look closely at the details that remain on the surfaces of these buildings. A balcony chair still angled slightly inward, as if positioned for someone who wanted to face the street without being fully part of it. Flower boxes long dried out, the soil cracked and gray, the plants reduced to thin brown sticks that still stand in the positions they were planted. Window frames worn smooth at the places hands reached most often, the edge where fingers gripped to pull the window closed, the ledge where someone rested their arm on enough evenings that the paint eventually gave way. These details do not explain what happened here. They do not tell you who lived in these rooms, or why they left, or whether they intended to come back. What they show is something more fundamental than any specific story. They show expectation. Someone planted those flowers with a future in mind. Someone angled that chair for a tomorrow that was assumed to be coming. Everyone who lived in these apartments, on the day they last left, assumed they would return. Again and again, until one day, for reasons the building cannot explain and the street cannot remember, they did not. Section 4. Why empty homes feel unsettling. Public spaces lose meaning when empty. A plaza without people is just a paved area. A square without crowds is just a geometry of stone. The meaning of a public space depends entirely on its use, and when the use stops, the meaning dissolves quickly. This is uncomfortable, but it is a clean discomfort, a simple and legible absence. Private spaces do not lose meaning when emptied. They lose something closer to identity. A home without its people is still shaped by its people. The proportions feel wrong without bodies to fill them. The scale is off. The light falls in patterns designed for someone who is no longer there to receive it. Without people, homes do not become ruins in any immediate or dramatic sense. They become placeholders. Spaces still shaped like lives that are no longer being lived inside them. This city does not feel abandoned. That is the strangest part. Abandoned implies a finality, a recognition that something has ended. Walking through these streets does not feel like walking through something that ended. It feels like walking through something that was simply not continued. The distinction is quiet, but it is significant. Abandoned things have been released. These streets have not been released. They are still waiting. These apartments are not unsettling because they are damaged. They are not crumbling. They are not filled with the dramatic markers of ruin. They are unsettling precisely because they are intact. The windows remain in their frames. The rooms still hold their shapes. The streets still run in the directions they were always meant to run. But the return never came. If a city is defined by where people go at the end of the day, by the accumulation of all those private returns, all those doors opening and closing at the end of 1,000 ordinary evenings, then what remains here is a city in shape, but not in substance. The form is present. The meaning is waiting. And the waiting, it turns out, is the hardest thing to stand inside.